What's up, everybody? It's Blake Briggs, co-host, co-founder of VM Board Bombs. Iltafat Hussein is on vacation somewhere, and my vacation is in the middle of this place. Stranded, alone, no water, no food, for weeks. This is my studio today. The incredible, the amazing Death Valley National Park. Stealing the show, I might add. No other podcast is filming from national parks, but I thought I would have to do that. Got to change the game here. We're a blue-collar podcast. We're always working. You'll hear the crunching of sand beneath my feet here as we talk about an amazing environmental emergency medicine STEM that you just have to know for the boards. So we have a 6-year-old boy who's being brought in by parents due to concern for agitation. So the child lives in a Southwest environment, hint, hint, and parents found the child out in the shed playing around. There's some old stuff in there, some shoes, etc. And then the child is brought into the emergency department drooling, agitated, and having these weird, chaotic eye movements. What is the best treatment overall? It's going to be choice A, benzodiazepines. Choice B, antivenom. Choice C, antipsychotic. Choice D, reassurance. Choice E, atropine. All right, as I'm wandering here in the desert, hopefully you had time to think of your answer here. The correct answer is going to be choice B, antivenom. So this patient is exposed to a bark scorpion. This is such a classic board pearl. I just can't even begin to tell you. I've already passed a few holes in the ground up here that look like little hidey holes for scorpions. Now, the bark scorpion is actually more common in Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and I'm in California, but I'm still hopefully not going to see a scorpion here on a few hikes. So bark scorpions are incredibly shy, but the classic story is going to be a child, really. They love talking about pediatrics in the test, but it's this classic story of a child or adult doing things in the yard, some type of provoked encounter. They're, just like a black widow spider bite or a snake bite in a way. It's going to be provoking the habitat of the animal, comes out, bites them, and then you have some weird reaction to it. And the bark scorpion is such a classic board pearl, and they love mentioning the rapid eye movements, which is a $5 word. This is the words you have to know on rounds or on your EM attending asking you if you're a resident, or just knowing it to sound smarter than other people, which is what? So the answer is epicyclonus. Really fancy word for those rapid eye movements. That's kind of a weird nystagmus, rotary, weird, chaotic, rapid eye movements. Let's back up the bus though. Let's back up and let's talk about actually scene management. So the scene management of a bark scorpion bite is the same as a snake bite, pretty much. Cool compresses are okay. Definitely don't suck the venom out. Definitely don't put a tourniquet on. Don't try to cut open the wound more or something, release venom. I looked that up or something. That's all really weird stuff. Don't do any of that stuff. Try to calm the child as much as possible, or adult as well if they're agitated. And you're just going to take them to the emergency department and hope for the best there. So you're going to show up. And if you're in the Southwest, hopefully they are prepared for these situations and they should have the correct antivenom there. All right, so let's talk about symptoms and presentation. So thankfully, the vast majority of the time, any type of envenomation is going to be mild. Mild meaning tingling, pain, maybe some like numbness in the area, whatever. It's all localized stuff that it doesn't really matter. It's all just reassurance, like a black widow spider bite or a snake bite. However, when it is a severe or moderate envenomation, which you don't have to know the difference between, you're going to have this picture of weird autonomic symptoms. It's going to be some weird bulbar symptoms, drooling, dysphagia, blurry vision, whatever, and then weird like jerking, myoclonic jerking the extremities. There can be restlessness, agitation, mental status change, and then finally that epicyclonus we talked about, the rapid, weird, chaotic eye movements. They don't really follow nystagmus per se, but in any story with any envenomation of a child and you have the story of the weird eye movements, boom, that's epicyclonus. You're dealing with a bark scorpion. And the next answer is going to be what? Well, it depends on the scenario, right? And the child can also have weird autonomic symptoms like tachycardia, hypertension, vomiting, whatever. You got 2 treatments here are going to be helpful. Any tox or envenomation, and you have an agitated, altered patient, autonomic symptoms, whatever it may be, jerking, seizures, something, benzos are always your best friend. And so benzos have a role here, and that was one of the choices, but the benzos don't reverse the symptoms, right? It's just for symptom control. And the question I gave you specifically was, what's going to best manage that child's symptoms and cure them? And that's the antivenom. It's an equine-derived Fab fragment, nothing you have to know in detail. Hopefully, if you don't work in the Southwest, you never see this problem, but it's on boards. So in real life, just to give you some perspective, this antivenom is usually in stock at least major trauma centers in the Southwest. Please comment, tell me if you work at a Southwest ED and you have access to this antivenom. I know it's not in my ED in Tennessee, that's for sure, but it's relatively shipped quickly. This child will be transferred to a referral center, pediatric center, and be admitted probably if they have severe symptoms. And that's the key here. Admit these patients, obviously if they have severe symptoms. If it's just mild irritation at the site, you could probably do some reassurance, observe them in the ED, send them home. They don't need anything else other than local pain control, just like a black widow spider bite or a brown recluse. But if they have those severe symptoms, the agitation, any autonomic symptoms, whatever, anything neuro related, they're gonna need an antivenom, they're gonna be admitted to the hospital. So let's summarize here. Any child on the test that comes in from Arizona, New Mexico, Texas with agitation and that rapid eye movement, opistoclonus, that is 100% of our scorpion, you're going to treat with antivenom. If they have it at your facility, that's awesome. Hopefully you're working in the Southwest, you've heard of this. And benzodiazepines, as usual, for any tox or envenomation symptom control therapy. Remember autonomic symptoms, remember the jerking extremities, neurologic symptoms, but the biggest thing is the opistoclonus, the biggest thing. They may not tell you that they're bit by a scorpion on the test. They may hint that the child, especially less than 10 years old, highest risk of exposure, was outside in the yard doing something funny. I'd be remiss to not mention EM Rapid Bombs, the one and only EM Question Bank podcast. I mean, if you see me working this hard for the podcast on vacation, you can imagine how hard we work for our paid premium subscribers. Check out EM Rapid Bombs. It is an amazing bargain for what you get. Less than the cost of Netflix per month. You get unlimited access to certain study guides, questions that are dropped weekly in episodes, multiple choice questions. We coach you through the answers, tell you what's going to be asked on the test. I am literally pitching EM Rapid Bombs in the middle of Death Valley National Park. So please subscribe. Go to emboardbombs.com. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok. People are shocked to hear we're on TikTok, but it's still legal. So check it out. Otherwise, I'm going to find my way back to camp and have an awesome hike tomorrow morning. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Bye. Doing it for the pod. Blue Collar Podcast.